So let's talk a little bit about kind of our big announcement. And we just came out of our internal kickoff last week in Vegas, which one my voice is still a little scratchy. Um, but we, a year ago, announced something called Nutanix GPT in a box, which delivered, and kind of going back to that recipe list, storage and enterprise Kubernetes and the ability to, patch and maintain servers at scale. But what we've now announced in Barcelona at our .next conference, maybe 4 months ago now, is the evolution of that we're now calling Nutanix Enterprise AI. And it's delivering this new layer of infrastructure that's required for deploying or building generative AI applications. So we'll jump, this will be as probably as technical as we get today. But again, for those not familiar, Nutanix Cloud Infrastructure, is kind of has been our bread and butter for over a decade. It's an infrastructure designed for running and maintaining virtual machines. It comes with a hypervisor as well. We've got enterprise grade storage, the ability to manage databases, et cetera, et cetera. But what I'll say in the AI space is your infrastructure conversation often starts at the Kubernetes level. So from our perspective, we offer freedom of choice. Hey, if you've standardized on OpenShift, more power to you. We also offer up our own Kubernetes platform called NKP, Nutanix Kubernetes platform, but we support all the major platforms on the market. And that's really where AI infrastructure starts. So you've got this Kubernetes layer, again, freedom of choice. Welcome to use ours, you're welcome to use somebody else's. And if we go up 2 levels, you're either deploying off-the-shelf generative AI applications, whether it's something like Codium or Prion, you name it, or you're building generative AI capabilities, again, with the NVIDIA AI for Enterprise stack or in Data Robot or Domino or some other platform. But there's this layer in between the two that's now required within the enterprise to support this new generative AI application layer. And we'll spend a couple of minutes here talking about that. The first is this notion of an enterprise model repository. And why this is important is security, compliance, legal are all going to chime in on what model or what models are allowed to be used within your enterprise organization. So with an enterprise model repository, IT or the AI team can take that authorization and say, okay, Llama 3, as an example, has been authorized for use within our organization. 2 clicks, we're going to import the Llama 3 model, and through enterprise RBAC or role-based access control, we can now at a granular level provide access to those we want to have access to it, applications that need access to it, and we also have the ability to revoke that access. So an enterprise model repository is giving centralized command and control over the models that are allowed to be used within your organization. You need a mechanism to serve that model up. Models are just files. There's nothing, there's valuable information in them, but they're just flat files. So you need a mechanism to serve that model up. And that's what's known as an inference endpoint or an inference endpoint microservice. So that's now serving up that model to the various lines of businesses, to the various generative AI applications that you've deployed off the shelf, and maybe even to NVIDIA or, again, Data Robot for building customized generative AI capabilities. And again, not glamorous, but really, really important. At some point, guarantee it, the phone's going to ring and they're going to say, hey, the Gen AI app is slow or it's down or it's giving inconsistent answers. How quickly can IT start to troubleshoot what's going on? And if you think about the stack, there are more pieces now. Yes, there's still storage. Yes, there's still virtual networking and CPU utilization. What's going on at the Kubernetes layer from a container or a cluster perspective? Is my GPU running at 99% utilization? What's the latency looking like on my inference endpoint microservice? You need to have visibility into all of that to do proper root cause analysis, to be efficient in your troubleshooting. And this is what we announced again 4 months ago in Barcelona. We spent most of last week at our internal kickoff, educating and training and talking about this new product offering from Nutanix. There's really nothing like it on the market, at least today. I'm sure we'll see competitors coming up and coming out in the future, but it's a UI-driven experience, much like if you've used Nutanix before, we try and distill it into a very delightful user experience. It's the same thing here. I don't think we have time today, but happy to walk folks through, a demo alongside Choice, if and when it makes sense. But to me, this allows, again, IT or an AI ML team or a data science team to stay focused on solving that specific business challenge or unlocking that new, maybe revenue generating capability and not have to be bogged down with the supporting infrastructure. And it also, kind of the flip side of that, it allows IT to say yes to the various lines of business who want to deploy generative AI to start seeing transformative value. So again, happy to jump in a demo after this. Spend 10 seconds here, maybe. We use generative AI a couple different ways internally, from helping our sales force answer questions that they might have to also our own support organization, which has been world-class since I was here. And, as I come back, answer questions and help customers get down a path of resolution much quicker. We essentially have used all of our internal KBs, our public facing articles, the Nutanix Bible, internal support tickets to really make it a very powerful application for our support engineers that, when a customer logs a support ticket, they're now able to tap into all of this very quickly and get an answer back that will help them start walking down a path of resolution with our customer. And then maybe before I wrap, I just leave you with a little food for thought, which is Ernst & Young had this really cool report. If you want to geek out on economics, it's worth a read. But they essentially state that, generative AI is creating exponential value within the enterprise. And, why that's important is, every organization every year has to stack rank priorities. Hey, where are we going to allocate budget? Where are we going to allocate resources? Where are we going to spend time? And, they use various APIs to try and stack rank that, maybe net present value. But when you think of it, that generative AI is creating exponential value, and the overwhelming majority of most enterprise initiatives create linear value. If you take two companies, company A and company B, and company A starts their generative AI journey today, and company B delays it 6 months. In 6 months, company B is not a mere 6 months behind their competitor. They might be 12, 24, 36, 48, 70. They are some number significantly greater behind company A because company A has started to extract value from generative AI. They've started to evolve their internal processes to work in this emerging generative AI era. They've started to evolve how IT manages operations. They've started to build muscle memory around troubleshooting generative AI capabilities. They're more likely to start moving horizontal within their organization to uncover new valuable use cases to start working on. So to me, it's a really compelling thought on why it's important to find a specific business challenge today or soon that you can start embarking on this journey together with your trusted partners. And maybe with that, Oz, I'm going to toss the baton to you, sir.
Yep, and I'll pull up mine. There was one question I was holding for us switching over for you. I thought it was a good one. Well, I'm going to share my screen, but that one in the Q&A, if you're looking at it, about the domain knowledge required, you see that?
That is a good question. What level of domain knowledge is required for teams to implement and manage generative AI models using Nutanix GPT in a box? So if we were to walk through a demo, you would essentially see 2 clicks to pick a model and deploy the model or download the model. And then you would see 4 clicks to serve up that model with an inference endpoint. So there's not a steep learning curve. We offer boot camps and operational readiness workshops. So I don't think there's a steep learning curve. I do think it's important, though, just to be genuinely interested and curious in the technology. There's a lot of free resources out there where you can start consuming. There's plenty of good podcasts. But from my perspective, we have really lowered the technical bar to make it easy for IT teams to start on this journey as well.